Hello and welcome to the Cardfellas Podcast Show. We are excited about talking some basketball. It's been a little while since we've talked some basketball. Matt, this is a set that you and I kind of thought would be a fun set to do. And it's kind of a weird set because it's not like, there's some good rookies in here, but I wouldn't say great rookies. But this is a set that's kind of all about those veteran cards, which when we open stuff these days, everybody seems to be interested in the rookies and parallels and all that stuff. But really, this is a set that the base cards actually hold some really good value.
Absolutely. We're talking about 2008, 2009 Topps Chrome basketball. And Chris, you're absolutely right. And that's exactly what I wrote in my notes. Good rookie class, not great. It's actually kind of borderline good.
Right.
And, I think it's, to be honest with you, it's getting worse by the day.
Because of
we're going to explain that coming up. But yeah, you know what? This is a great set for art. Like this is a set that just reminds you of art. And we're going to show you some of the cards. So if you're listening on the podcast, you can go to our YouTube channel. We have the visuals to go along with it. So also another thing that if you're listening to us tonight live and you're just one of those people that tune in, or you listen to our stuff on YouTube, we do have a podcast and we're churning out a lot of stuff more recently now. We're calling them Cardfellas Shorties, where we take some of the topics that we used to talk on here about and make them into full episodes. So hopefully people are enjoying those and finding those on wherever they get their podcasts. And if they get them on their podcast, come visit us on YouTube. We're getting a ton of great comments from people, so we want to encourage that. That's what's so awesome about the hobby. I think a lot of people have opinions. They have thoughts. They're not afraid to share them, which we really like. So we really like to see the feedback, and people are really stepping up on YouTube. So come join the party here. But yeah, tonight's the live show, which we do every Wednesday. And again, we're going to be talking about basketball. Let's dive right into 2008-2009 Topps Chrome basketball. Chris, I'll let you kick this one off.
Yeah, like you said, the comments on YouTube have been really good lately. We've had a lot of people chime in there. And I'll say this, the last 3 days on our podcast have been the best 3 days we've ever had. So people
wonderful
are finding that as well.
Love the supporters.
Yeah,
awesome.
So we are going to go with this 2008 Topps Chrome basketball set. It is a 220 card base set, 40 rookies in the set, and only 6 parallels. So we're kind of getting to the point now with all this Panini product, so many parallels, so many different kinds of refractors, so many different things. This was kind of 2008 Topps style. There wasn't a ton of stuff. So you had just the standard Chrome refractor. You had the orange refractor, which was numbered to 499. X-fractors 288, gold refractors numbered to 50, red refractors numbered to 5, and the super fractors numbered 1 of 1, and then of course the printing plates 1 of 1 as well. We'll bring up a little bit of graphic here and kind of show off what some of this product looked like. So the boxes in the hobby were gold, and the retail stuff was all blue. So if you're ever out there and you're like, oh, is this hobby or is this a lot of times you see the packs is maybe where you get confused, because both the hobby packs and the retail packs both had 4 cards in them. So retail is blue, hobby is going to be yellow. You and I have talked a little bit in the past about Topps kind of borrowing designs from years past. When we talked about the 78 Topps baseball set, it basically has the same design as the 1980 basketball set. So that's a good look right there. It's a classic look. The base card has got a white background. The letters in the team name are circled, 2 different colors, kind of that retro look that you'd see. And we love it. I love it. But kind of an interesting thing when you look at it is, so they use that. And this is a year that basically all of the Topps product had the same design. So if we look at the football cards from 2008, it looks basically the same. That's a Tom Brady card. Baseball card set, Griffey, basically the same. The only difference there between the baseball is that you see they did make it look like there's kind of an autograph on the card. So you see the player's autograph printed on as well. But other than that, the design itself is throughout the three major sports that Topps created product for that year.
Yeah, it made it easy to determine what year it is, no matter what sport you're looking at it.
Right.
Yes, and I agree with you. I love the look of it. I think it's very clean. Does have that retro feel. Even the back of the cards look very clean and simple to read and understand. There's not too much going on as far as the gimmicks. It really just tells it like it is. And so whenever that happens, that's a plus in my book, because again, I'm an old school hobbyist. So I got a lot of my information before the internet from the back of cards. And so this is kind of what that was. One of the things about this Chrome set is Topps, this was the last time they did a Chrome set. It just became inserts after that. So it was something that's kind of the swan song, if you will. But Chrome did exist. They just didn't have their own box. And when you showed those boxes before, the gold boxes had 24 packs in it, and the what technically would be called a blaster box, I guess now that one has 8 packs in it. That one has 24. You're looking at anywhere spending, if you want to buy one of those now, you can get them for about $6,000 to $7,000. And this is about $4,000 to $5,000. So I don't think the blasters or these retail boxes are probably fetching that. That's just kind of what I saw the range for. I don't know if anybody's actually paying for that. But that's what they're going for. So there's a huge market for this, when it comes to value, because there isn't that many out there. And that's we're going to talk about, the cards that are out there right now, the pop reports. We'll get into that. But it's an expensive box if you want to land one of these.
Yeah, and you're not going to get a ton of cards in that box either. I mean, you're basically looking at 96 cards in the hobby box and 32 cards in the blaster box. And the other thing I'll tell you, so one of the hobby boxes, one just sold for $5,500, another for $6,000. And I think you saw the same thing I did. There was a blaster box on eBay right now for $5,000. But recently there was 3 packs that have just sold, and they sold for about $150 a piece. Okay. So the guy that has the retail box up there for $5,000, I'm going to say is probably going to be waiting a while if he's going to try to sell it for $5,000. What's funny kind of too, though, is that, those packs in 2008, if you were going to kind of, snake them away, you could have bought those packs for $3 in 2008. So,
well, let's look at these cards, and we've kind of given you the peek. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, the Kobe card is really the prize of this set, and it's not because it's just Kobe Bryant. If you can see it on our YouTube page here, it's got Kobe Bryant guarded by LeBron James. So this is really a darling of the hobby when you look at cards and people that really, collect Kobe, I mean, these are 2 GOATs, right? I mean, these are 2 guys that are considered, legends of the sport. And here they are squaring off against each other. It makes for an awesome experience when you're looking at the card. And this is card, I would say, number 1 if you're ranking the cards. This is the easy number 1. However, we are going to show you the next card too. It's LeBron James and his famous chalk toss. So what an awesome look at 2 of these legends in the same set. So when we go back to what we were talking about, Chris, not a lot of rookie star power, but these 2 cards are always and will always be in demand.
Yeah, you've got the chalk toss. You also, I love that old Cleveland. I shouldn't even say old. It's not that old, but that style jersey from the Cavs. I mean, it's just cool. And this, like you said, it's a card that I think LeBron lovers and LeBron fans, I don't think their collection's complete unless they've got this card in it.
No question about it. And I think this is again, we've seen 2 cards right now. We're going to show more, but the photography of these cards was really, really fantastic. You could tell that Topps went all in on their photography, even the staged rookies. So we're going to get into the next phase of these guys. So The rookie class was, as we said, at the time it was okay. There were some guys that were highly touted and some guys that were, they were good players, but it turns out their NBA career wasn't great. One of the guys that looked like he was on the path to greatness, and many people believe he still is a Hall of Famer, is Russell Westbrook. Now, I think Russell Westbrook has really hurt his legacy the last couple of years, and certainly in the hobby, I don't know who's collecting them, to be honest with you. I don't know what his fan base is like from a hobby perspective, but here's his rookie card, and it's got him. You can tell this is a posed picture, which they did with all the rookies, but it looks like he's doing some kind of windmill or between the legs dunk from up high on the rim, which is awesome. I mean, that's an awesome looking card. And so, if you're a Russell Westbrook fan, this is a card that's definitely on your list.
For sure. This is the Derrick Rose, kind of the same look. Obviously it is a stage look, but kind of an above the rim shooting down. You're looking down at the net. The net is perfectly centered along the bottom of the card, and Derrick's about ready to send it through. And this is another guy that, had a lot of promise, and then injuries kind of took him away a little bit earlier than I think. I think if he continued to play like he did early on in his career,
right,
would have definitely been a surefire Hall of Fame.
But a lot of people still, again, he has a lot of strong followers as well. I put him in that niche of Westbrook, and you mentioned it, his injuries, but there are people out there who are big Derrick Rose fans, and so this card again is in their wheelhouse. I don't think either of those two cards that we just talked about, whether it be Westbrook or Rose, is one of those cards that's going to pop out to you at a show and go, oh man, I got to have that, like that Kobe or LeBron card. And so unless you're a super collector of one of these two guys, you're probably not seeking out these cards. So these are the two guys that are the biggest rookies out of that set. Now we go down a tier, in my opinion, and that's the Kevin Love card. Again, they did this with the rookies. They shot them up high above the rim. I'm okay with it all looking the same. I think it's cool. I think it's great. I think it's perfect for a rookie card that you want to collect, and looks great.
Yeah, it is cool. This is kind of where the design gets in its own way, though, because when they put Lakers up there and those letters are big and they're easy,
yes,
but there's too many letters in Timberwolves on top of this card. Maybe they should have just went Wolves, because it
good point.
Becomes the name kind of gets lost in the dots. So many dots there. So
it doesn't look aesthetically pleasing like the Lakers or some of the shorter team names. Wolves would have been the better choice there if I'm going to play armchair creative director at this point.
Let's do that.
But this is your third best rookie right there. It was Kevin Love. So big fall off, and I would say there's a big fall off, even when like we said, Westbrook and Rose, not the highly touted ones. Here's another card, just great piece of artwork, right? It's Kevin Durant. And what I love about this card, it's the Seattle Sonics jersey. That green and yellow iconic card is just so cool to me. He's going up for a dunk. He's got the expression on his face. And then you have the OKC Thunder graphic, and it kind of throws you off. But the picture, if you focus on the picture, man, that's a cool card.
And the other thing that's kind of cool about this is the background is sort of darkened, and then he's lighter than everything else in the picture, so he kind of stands out and kind of comes off of the photo a little bit as well in that picture, which is kind of cool. This is a second-year Durant card, so he did play 1 year in Seattle before the team moved down to Oklahoma City. A couple of the other rookies, and we don't have pictures of them, that you might want to look for in this set. Brook Lopez is in here. George Hill, Marc Gasol. I think DeAndre Jordan was a rookie this year as well. So, those are guys that are kind of tier 2, maybe tier 3 type players that were in the set. And there were, some other guys that definitely had long careers in there as well. But as far as a Kevin Durant type of player, I guess Westbrook. I think if we were talking about this set 4 years ago, I think Westbrook would be like, this is the guy you want.
Good point.
It was just a weird, he's been on a decline, and then this year when he got sent to the Lakers, it just got super weird. And
right.
That's like you say, that's going to be, if he bounces back next year, maybe it'll be fine. But if he doesn't, I mean, I think it's just going to kind of look not good for his legacy. So
no, and I've heard a lot of people think he is a Hall of Famer. So maybe he does have that legacy, and maybe we're just swayed so much by the last couple of years, and this year is just it was off-putting just listening to his remarks. Yeah. I think that was part of what people were most amused by was the antics, and he still put up his type of numbers. It just was he got the nickname Westbrook. It was just so, but he had like you said, he had a legacy that was quite something. And so but yeah, these cards again, when we talk about some of the uniqueness of these cards, you look at this card specifically, this Kevin Durant card. I mean, this one just screams to me vintage, retro. And so that's what this card. And when you see these out in the wild, and you don't really see these too often, these cards just around. When you go to a card show, you don't see these. They really pop. Like, it really grabs your attention. And so even just the regular base cards, I'm not talking about any refractors. I'm not talking about any of those numbered cards that we were talking about. I'm just talking about the regular old base cards. They grab your attention. And that's one of the things that Topps did really well this year with their cards. This is one of the unique cards, too, from the set. And this was what we're talking about. Small team name, the Suns. But here's Shaq in a Phoenix Suns uniform. When I was looking for these cards in this set, I was like, Shaq on the Suns. How weird does that look? Because I expected to see him on the Lakers. And so, here it is. The Suns pop up. I'm like, all right, I got to show this card too, because it's a perfect picture of Shaq minus the fact that he's in a Phoenix Suns jersey. He's throwing the ball right back in a guy's face, but this is what we were talking about. The shorter the name, the better it looks.
The funny thing, Shaq was he's on the NBA broadcast right now, and they brought the Stanley Cup into the guys of the NBA broadcast. They hand it to Shaq, and they're like, "Hold this up above your head." And he's like, "I can't." And they're like, "What?" And he's like, "I can't. My shoulders are bad because I was carrying the Lakers and the Magic on my back all those years."
This is good stuff. So, yeah, this is, and that's what you kind of expect to see, right? You expect to see him in one of those uniforms, and you realize, man, he really bounced around at the end of his career. And so, but still, a great card. If you're a Shaq fan, this is a card you're collecting, even though he's on the Suns.
Yeah, won a championship with the Heat. And then I think he went out to the Phoenix, and I think that year they had a pretty good team.
They did.
I think he was looked at as a guy that maybe could be the final piece to help him get there. So,
yeah, no, that's a really, again, photography wins in this set, and they did a really good job of finding some action shots, and even the pose shots look good. You and I have made a lot of fun of some of the old posed baseball cards, and so I think Topps learned from the awful photos of Tommy John and his or Nolan Ryan with his hands above his head, and all right, Nolan, I'm gonna need you to stop right there, and he looks into the camera, and it's like, that does not look natural at all. But hey, Russell, we're gonna have you go do a behind the back dunk, and we're just gonna get you looking at the camera while you're dunking. Oh, okay, sounds great. Turned out fantastic. Obviously, this one isn't staged. This one was a shot of Shaq in game destroying. I'm not sure who number one is for the Blazers, but he's probably happy that his face isn't quite visible, because I think his family will be embarrassed by that as well.
That's one thing I've kind of discovered, this new podcast called the Ttm Podcast.
Okay.
TTM stands for Through the Mail. It's a podcast about sending cards through the mail to get them autographed. And every week this guy writes a blog post, and he talks about, some players won't sign certain cards. They won't sign cards if they're wearing a certain jersey, whatever. I would be willing to bet that every time Shaq sees this card, he must just love it, because
absolutely
a card that he's just got to dig when he sees it, So I'm sure he's more than happy to sign this one.
I'd love to get number one to sign it. I don't know whoever that is, but.
So one of the other things that I did to get ready for the show is I looked at basically put into eBay in the sold listings the highest priced 3 2008 Topps basketball cards have sold recently. And this one actually sold in early March. This is a Tim Duncan Superfractor, a 1/1 BGS 9.5 gem mint. And it's sold in early March for $23,667 on eBay. Number 2, and this is going to be the same card. This is a Topps Chrome Refractor Gem Mint 10 PSA, and that sold for $13,000 in February. And then another one also sold in February. This was an Orange Refractor, numbered to 499 PSA 10, which is more rare than the other one.
Right.
And this one sold for $10,200. So kind of funny that Refractor that was a 10 sold for more money than the Orange Refractor number to 499 that sold for 10.
That is interesting. You would think obviously the reverse would be the case, but maybe somebody wanted that one for their collection. Maybe it's the same buyer for all we know. Yeah. Maybe they just want them all. You just kind of, this one looks like it was obviously an auction, and then the other one might have been a buy it now. I don't know, or that was an auction.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but
regardless, those cards are extremely valuable, and even the base cards. The base cards with not the refractor of this one. If you get a PSA 10, it's about anywhere between $1,000 and $1,200, which is a really good payday for a base card of a guy who, he's in year 12 of his career. The card is just a really good card. And that LeBron card, again, it's not near his rookie year, but his cards are going for around $800 or about $600-700. The chalk toss one. The Westbrook card is selling for about $500. We're talking all PSA 10s here. One of the things when we talk about these cards, when we talk about the PSA numbers, there have been 7,610 cards of these graded by PSA. The Kobe card is the most with 1,300 cards graded, and it has a gem mint rate of 383 are 10s, and so that's a pretty low. That's a low gem mint rate when you look at some of the other cards. Like the LeBron has 395, but it's had 300 fewer cards graded of that card. The Westbrook one is an interesting case study too, because there's 626 of those cards graded, but only 126 are 10s. And then you look at the Durant card, there's 543 of those cards graded, but 270 are 10s. So it tells me the Westbrook card was probably on a sheet of cards that maybe was tough to cut. My guess it was probably an off-centering thing with the Westbrook card, because to have only 126 10s, and then you look at the Derrick Rose card that didn't even have 400 cards graded, has 195 10s. So there's more 10s for Derrick Rose, even though there were half the cards graded. So it's a little bit odd, and I'd like to dive into that Westbrook card a little bit more, but there's something about that card that it was harder to get a 10 on. And then you mentioned some other guys, Marc Gasol. His card was only graded 71 times. Dwayne Wade, 41. Shaq, 39. Kevin Love, 34. A couple other rookies, Eric Gordon, Michael Beasley. We're talking about these cards were graded 30, 37 times. Like, it's not a heavily graded set. And I think part of that is because, again, that rookie class, I think it's the era in which the cards were produced. I don't think a lot of people were collecting cards at that point. I don't know how readily available Chrome was, and I don't know how many people were at the time buying it. And so, there isn't that much out there of this product. And I think that's part of, the reason that the pop report is so low and why these Kobe and LeBron cards are in such high demand. They're hard to find.
That's exactly right. A lot of these autographs, so there was an autographed rookie per box.
Yes.
And they were all numbered. And most of them are like 400 out of 400. There's only 40 rookies. So I just don't think there was that much of this product even produced.
Yes.
You talk about low pop. So 7,600 cards graded for the entire set at PSA. There's out of those 7,600, there's only 8 cards that actually are in triple figures for being graded. The Kobe base, the Kobe refractors, the 209, LeBron base, almost 1,100. LeBron refractors, 190. The Durant base, 543. Derrick Rose base, 396. Westbrook base, 626. Westbrook refractors, 107. So you talked about those gem rates. Maybe my math is a little bit different than your math, but I think it is the way I have it anyway. The gem rate for the LeBron and the gem rate from Kobe are within like 2% of each other. So they're pretty close.
Yes.
At base. The refractors are almost dead on. So the LeBron refractor, 101 gems for 109 total graded cards, so over 50% gem rate. The Kobe refractor, 106 gems for 209 total graded cards. Again, just over 50%. But back to that Westbrook card you said. 126 gems out of 626 total cards. It's about a 20% gem rate. But the Westbrook refractor, 4 gems out of 107 total cards, so less than 4% gem rate on that refractor. So I think you're dead on with something on the printing side of it that just prevented that card from coming off the way that it should come off and the way it goes. The other cool thing, we were talking about one of ones, and the podcast, the video we just released today was talking about one of ones. So the Kobe Bryant one of one superfractor is a 10.
Yeah, that's a nice card.
That's gonna be
I wonder who's got that one snaked away, because that
Right.
that one would be in demand if it were to ever hit the auction block. And that's, to me, that's a million, that's a million plus in my
Gotta
opinion. For sure. I mean, you're talking about one of the most sought after Kobe Bryant cards, one of one PSA 10. My goodness, $1 million is probably on the low end of the starting of the bidding. This is also, we talked a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was last week. Did we talk about last week about Bowman baseball, right? Yeah. So we've talked a lot on the show about the newer sets that have come out, especially baseball. And one of the things is the parallels, the variation cards. And so that's another thing that these sets had. And they were kind of rolling those out. They had a variation card of 1958, 1959 Topps version in variation cards, and they put those in autos, and they had those numbered as well. I couldn't really find a whole lot of those, which tells me that those inserts were really hard to pull. I don't know if you looked into that, Chris. I couldn't find any, but they didn't have a whole lot of they didn't have the big names. Like they had Chris Paul and Carmelo Anthony, Paul Pierce, but they also had a Larry Bird and Magic Johnson autograph variation card. And I tried my best to try and find one, and I couldn't find a picture of it. So again, I just don't know how many of these cards are actually out there. Some of these are numbered to 20. I can't find any of them. So even the parallels, even the variation cards are somewhere, and so if you can find them, I would assume that they're going to be extremely rare and, hold a lot of value. So I think that's part of the reason that these boxes are so expensive is, there's a lot of unknown, being pulled from or that are still out there that could be pulled from these boxes. I don't know if it's worth $7,000, but it is absolutely an opportunity to get some cards that nobody's seen before.
Right. And the other thing that I saw, and I guess I didn't see pictures of any of those, but I can tell you one thing that drives people nuts about Panini cards that you don't see a lot in the Topps cards anymore is all of those rookie autos were sticker autos.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
That's just one thing to keep an eye on too. All of the rookie autos in the set were sticker autos. But yeah, a lot of cool things. The other thing I'll say on this too, and it's something that really you're seeing a lot in the sets that we are into now, but they had some pretty cool kind of retired cards in this set as well. I thought the Magic card is super cool.
Yes.
He's kind of got a look on his face like, I fooled you. He's got a great look on his face in that picture. And that card has only been graded 21 times, 13 10s in that card. at PSA anyway. And then Pete Maravich card was in there. And that Pistol Pete card's only been graded 2 times. So cards 165 or 166 through 180, it was kind of right between the veterans and the rookies were these other cards from the retired stars, which I think is kind of cool as well.
Yeah, that's not something that Topps and or even any card companies really did. They didn't start the retro looks and the retro players and adding those guys in. Now it's commonplace. Like you will find some of these short prints or just insert cards of football does this all the time. It's like, hey, Joe Montana, here you go, Dad. When my kids are opening packs, and it's like, here's a guy from your era. It's like Joe Namath. I'm like, no, dude, I'm not that old. Yeah. But like, it's like John Elway and Marino, and it's just like to us, the old school collectors, that was cool. And I'm sure if you were an old school basketball person opening that, you're like, oh wow, Pistol Pete. That's a pretty cool card. And so I agree with you. The Magic card is fantastic too. And even when they go back to the old school guys, again, photography won this set. And this was about the photos and really just the beauty of it and the color. Chrome is always really good at capturing color. Unless there's a silver chrome and it gets a little green like the Kobe rookie year of 1996, but I don't think there was any greening with this set. With the I think they learned from the chrome of the past and put it on white paper and do this and make it sure that the coloring stayed intact and it was brilliant, like we showed with that that Durant card or the LeBron card or the Kobe card. It's just the color just pops. So can't speak enough about the photography. And I think Chris, you've mentioned this before when we do these sets. You go do your research, then you end up buying some of these cards. Right. And I think this is a set I would absolutely target, not just in basketball, but football and baseball as well. I don't like the baseball version with the autograph. I'll be honest. Yeah. I think that was a mistake by Topps, but at the same time, you got to try some things that are new and different. And that the old fake autograph was definitely something that was new around this time.
Yeah, I actually, it's funny that you said that because I'm on an Ichiro binge right now, and I was looking up Ichiro cards today, and that's the one thing I don't like about that card is the Ichiro fake auto that's on it. It was done in like a ballpoint pen look, and it looks awful. Like you can't. Yeah. It looks like a kid scribbled on it. So that turned me off to this. But that Magic Johnson card. We've been talking about the LeBron card and the Kobe card, and those cards raw right now are anywhere from $120 to $200. Where you're seeing them. But like that Magic card, if you like that Magic card, like you can get that on eBay for like $3.
Yeah.
They're not out of reach if you want to go and get some of these stars. Those 2 cards are kind of the iconic cards. But the other thing I found kind of interesting is you could see some PSA 9s of those cards. And this is something that kind of goes into a little bit of that treasure kind of hunt thing that we're seeing now where people think that they can go and buy PSA 10s because right now you can get PSA 9s for maybe 40% more than a raw card.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think that's probably going to be the way to go because the thing about these Chrome cards, and I'm sure you see them when you're opening modern cards, is they tend to attract kind of stuff. It just seems like there's little pits in them all the time and they're scratching. And that's the thing. When I went to look at some of these raw cards over the last few days, just a lot of surface problems with them. So, if those cards were not taken care of directly out of the box, you're going to have scratching. Like if they got put into, a 5,000 count monster box without being put in a sleeve, they're going to be scratched. So
I will say this, Chris. If you find an iconic card like this, or just any iconic card, let's say, and it's not graded, something's wrong with it.
Right.
At this point in the hobby, something's wrong with it. Or that card has been cracked. That's part of it too. Like you have to, if you're buying this Kobe or LeBron card raw, my guess is the person who owns it doesn't think it's worthy to get graded. So that tells me it's probably not going to be a 10.
Yep.
or they cracked it and it was a 6 and they're selling it with the expectation that you're going to get a chance at a 10.
Yep.
And that happens in the hobby 100%. And you see that all the time. People complain about the grades that they got from PSA. How is this a 7? And everybody piles on. How is that a 7? How is that a 7? Well, you crack it open, now all of a sudden it's a raw card. That's a potential
It's worth more
10.
than an 8.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I think you're absolutely right. If you want this card, if you want any of these cards, especially the LeBron or the Kobe, which I do, and I've looked for, I would buy an 8 or a 9 in a heartbeat before I buy a raw card. If you have the money to spend, go buy the 10. Congratulations, you're rich. If not, I would say, focus on getting an 8 or a 9. It's still going to be a stunningly nice looking card. Mm-hmm. It's just not a 10. But I think if you think you're going to get a 10 out of a raw card from this, I'm thinking more and more about that as I shop for raw cards. At this point in the hobby, at this point in the, everything that we've gone through, if a dealer sells you a raw card, it's not going to be a 10 from an iconic set like this. They've already looked at it. They know what they got. And so definitely with this one, buyer beware, but buy a graded one. 8 or 9 will do you well. And you can get them cheaper or as cheap as a raw card.
Yeah, for sure. And I think people are going to get educated with that, and that's probably going to change. But right now, yeah, I mean, you're seeing raw cards sell for, not that much below what a PSA 9 would sell for. So
let me ask you this. I know this is off topic, but does it feel ethically wrong if you get a 6 on a card but maybe doesn't look like a 6, you crack it and sell it raw? I mean, I know it happens. I'm not, but it's just like, I would feel, I don't know. I'd feel guilty about somebody taking my 6 thinking they have a potential to have a 9 or a 10. But that's maybe another conversation for a different show, but it just crossed my mind now.
My thought would be if I felt like it was completely severely undergraded. And I've had times where I've gotten cards back, obviously, that were lower than what I thought they would be. And I look at them closer and go, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I completely missed the boat on it. There's other times where you get cards and they're lower than you think you're going to be, and you're looking at it and you're like, I just don't see what this person saw in that to give it that grade. So I think in that case, but I mean, I'm going through cards right now. I'm listing a ton of cards on eBay right now. And there are cards I look at and I just go, I just don't want to sell this card online because it's not the condition that I would want to receive a card in.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's going to be a card that I'm thinking about getting a table to show at some point in the next year. And I'm like, that's a show that if the buyer can hold it in his hand and look at it and go, yeah, I'm fine with that condition, then cool. But that's not a card I want to sell on eBay and have somebody get it and just go, no, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. So, that's the way I look at it. I always look at cards and go, would I be happy if I got this in the mail?
Hobby
if
integrity.
The answer is no, then I don't list it.
And I think that's a conversation we should have another day, hobby integrity. What are some of those things? Because I think you're absolutely right. You get cards like this. And I think these 2 cards really fall into that category very well, the Kobe and the LeBron. I think there's always going to be demanders. And so, whether it's raw, whether it's a graded card, they're going to have eyeballs on it. And so if you got it graded, you didn't get a good grade. But I agree with you 100%. If you feel like you sent it to PSA or whatever grading company that you prefer, and you get back a grade that you don't think it is, and you just got a grumpy grader, we talked about that too, and maybe you do crack it and sell it as a raw. But I don't think I'm not asking that for, you have disclosure, but like you said, I don't want to sit here and, pretend the card is something that it isn't. And I think this, like I said, the reason this whole conversation started, because I think this card has that, that it's just all of the piecings of together of something that would fall into that category. So, interesting conversation for a different day, but let's get back to this set. And, they also, like you mentioned, they had the rookie autos, but those were all sticker autos. And those cards are still relatively hard to find, but you can find them. There was one Westbrook rookie that went for, I think, $5,000 on a PSA 10. So, those they're rare. They're rare. So if you found them, they're well worth your money to get graded. And but a lot of people, I'm not gonna. And they were different variations. The auto rookies, they were kind of the headshots of the guys, kind of smiling. They weren't the same picture as the base card, with them dunking from the high rim view. So Topps had a variation card for the autos, and but the class was so weak. I don't think that there were a lot of people out there chasing it like they were other rookie classes.
Yeah, you had that, and just like we've talked about before, I just don't think there's that much of this product. No. And a lot of people, you hear the phrase right now, we're about to be if we're not already in a junk slab era. Well, if you're trying to avoid the junk slab era, this is a set that you're going to want to invest in. I looked at some of the low pop opportunities, as we mentioned earlier. There's 9 total cards, and I think 4 of those were refractors. So really 5 total cards that have over 100 cards graded.
Yes.
So look at this, Dirk Nowitzki, 22 total cards graded, 10 gems. Dwayne Wade, 41. Garnett, 25. Nash, only 5 Steve Nash cards graded out of this set. Just unreal. Mm-hmm. Ray Allen, 4. There are no 10s. Tim Duncan, 36. Shaq, 39. Magic, 21. And again, Pistol Pete with 2. So, the vast majority of the set is well under 50 cards graded. So if you want to get into something, again, it's not like when you and I got into 90 Fleer where we were looking at this thing 2 years ago going, geez, all these cards are under 100. Like, this is a massive low pop opportunity. And we jumped in, and 3 months later, so did the rest of the world.
Right.
Like, this product doesn't exist. Like, a box is $5,000, and good luck finding one.
Right.
So this pop report is not going to grow. So if you can find these cards anywhere that are even remotely gradable, like, you can make some hay here. So if you're looking to, I guess inflation proof, as long as we're going to be talking about, the pop report and the junk slab era, like, this thing is junk slab era proof. Like, this is a set that if you're looking for something to invest in, that's not going to be like 1989 Topps, this is it, baby. Like, This is the gold mine if you can find these cards. And like we said, a lot of these base cards are extremely affordable. The Kobe's and stuff are in the hundreds, the LeBrons in the hundreds. And if you're the kind of guy that's looking for something that's maybe a little bit even better budget, all these cards are made in paper too. In the 2008 Topps, just a regular Topps set. Same photos, same everything, just not the chrome, and you're going to save about 30 to 40%. Me, I'd rather pay the 40% and have chrome.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's that's part of the reason we picked this set over the paper. Mm-hmm. It's just, it's more aesthetically pleasing. I really do that. And I think you at the end of, the day, and if you want to look at your cards and you want to admire them, you're going to admire the chrome better than the paper. That's just, I think that's pretty much a standard statement when you're talking about, cards and the hobby when it comes to Topps, paper versus chrome, Bowman, paper versus chrome. They just look better. And I think they will hold up better over the long term, even in a slab.
Yeah. So, I guess I'm kind of thinking maybe we're getting close to wrapping this up. My final thoughts are, if you are, again, looking for something to invest in, I think this is what we'd call the white space. There's a lot of blank space here that hasn't been taken, a lot of opportunity everywhere. And if you can find these cards and they're within your budget, I think it's a no-brainer. I don't think that these cards are going to lose value because there just isn't very many of them.
I agree. I want that Kobe and LeBron cards. I want them both. I've looked for them, and I've been looking for them raw, looking for them graded. Not quite in my price points yet, but maybe I just have to bite the bullet and buy it. So let's put a bow on that. Let's talk about one other quick little thing here. This is an email I got today, actually. So this is from Fanatics, and it took me by surprise, and I immediately texted you, Chris. They are doing what they're calling a baseball card auction right there on their website. And the thing I texted you, Chris, was, holy crap, they're taking on eBay now. And my initial reaction is Fanatics wants to do everything when it comes to sports cards. They want to distribute them. They want to hold auctions. They want to do all these things. They want to get involved in every aspect. And you had a response, Chris, that, you said, hold on, they're not trying to take on eBay. And I'll let you respond here to that, why you said that in just a second. But just to give you a quick idea of what these auctions are, some are PSA cards and some are just authenticated by Fanatics with autos. So they're all slabbed. They're not raw cards. They're all slabbed in one way or the other, whether PSA or Fanatics. The minimum, the lowest price card I saw on there was $20, and that was like a Brent Gardner Yankees card. I can't tell you if it was PSA 10, 9, 8, or what it was. I just was looking through it quick. So again, Chris, I said to you, I'm like, Fanatics, here they go. They're going to try and take on eBay. And you said, not so fast, Matt. Here's why. Tell me your thinking here when I shared this information with you.
Well, my question for you, and I don't know if you know the answer yet, and I haven't even looked at you other than what you sent me, the screenshot. I haven't looked at any of it, but who owns these cards? Because if Fanatics owns them, then they're just basically selling their cards in an auction format, and to me, that's not going after eBay. The value in eBay is the sellers and the buyers. That's where they make money. They don't hold the product, although now they're trying to with the vault, but they don't own the product. They're just taking 13% from the seller and, providing these buyers for the sellers in different ways to do that, but they don't own the cards. So Fanatics is owning the cards that they're selling. That's a different game than what eBay is doing. And I don't think that you're just going to see the numbers. What you just said is actually more interesting to me, in that they authenticated and put a Fanatics slab on an autograph. That I think is extremely interesting. And, as we've been talking really over the last few days about PSA, and maybe they're looking at, now that they're getting through that backlog, and that backlog will be done, probably in the next 4 or 5 months, that maybe they would just try to take over the grading world and drop their price down to a point where the other folks can't compete and we get into a price war. But maybe Fanatics says, we know how to slab cards. We can hire people to grade cards. Like, to me, that actually sounds more interesting than the auction end of it. So I didn't know that. So that's breaking news to me. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. There's already been, the whole marketplace that was on eBay that was kicked off eBay because of alleged shill bidding. Like, they've kind of started their own thing. So there's consignment houses everywhere. So that's nothing new either. But yeah, I mean, Fanatics definitely, when you listen to their CEO talk, like, that's basically the verbiage he uses is, yes, we want to be everything sports cards. Mm-hmm. So, it wouldn't surprise me if they tried to put together a marketplace. And I can tell you, there are definitely people that, I mean, I'm a big eBay person. I love eBay, but there's a lot of people that would love to be able to move their stuff onto a different platform and sell it. And if they are able to make the platform more seller friendly with maybe lower fees, and maybe eBay right now is they're in a game to try to compete with Amazon, and right now the buyer is always right. And
yes,
sometimes buyers aren't right. So but right now, they're basically trying to do the same thing Amazon does, and on Amazon the buyer's always right. So now on eBay the buyer's always right. So yeah, it's just part of doing business on eBay now. So
I'm going to answer a couple things, because you asked about who the cards belong to. Mm-hmm. And from what I understand, what I look at the website, it doesn't look like it's coming from a third party or a individual. So it tells me that somebody at Fanatics has this in inventory. Mm-hmm. So they own the cards. Mm-hmm. So you're right. That to me right there is completely different from eBay. Another thing that you mentioned, Fanatics has always sold authenticated autos, whether it be on helmets, footballs, jerseys. So they have been in that business as well. So now they're just extending that to cards. And from here, from what I can look, however, is the slabs that they're putting on there are on authentic autograph cards that were put in packs and sets by like Upper Deck. So they're already so they're not authenticating it per se. They're not authenticating the autograph. They're just putting a personalized slab on it and saying, you know, this is an autograph card. It's slabbed, but it's a, you know, this autograph is authenticated by Upper Deck. Those type of cards. So, but you're right. Maybe they will get into the grading business. Maybe they will get into the slabbing business. But for now, that doesn't look to be the case. Lastly, and this is probably, we probably spoke way too long about this. This would have been, if I would have told you this fact before we started talking, you'd have been like, all right, forget it. I'm done. All right. One example. Fanatics has a 1991 Upper Deck Michael Jordan baseball card up for auction right now. PSA 7. I can go get that card on eBay right now for $20. Right now, there have been 6 bids on that card. It's up to $155. So something tells me something's off here. So we just spent, 10 minutes talking about this. Right there, that tells you red flag, red flag, red flag. Who in their right mind is spending that kind of money on that card? Are they trying to take advantage of people who don't know eBay? Like that to me is exactly what they're trying to do. So once I started to look at that, and I found this out after I talked to you and we did our research. If I would have led with that, we would have looked at this completely different. So to me, this is Fanatics trying to get their product in front of people that don't know any better.
Right. And that very well could be the case.
And so the auctions last for 15 days. So I'm going to continue to go back and look and just see where some of these numbers end. And then we'll have a conversation in a couple weeks about, is this a legit thing? And I'd love to know again who's buying that card for $155. I have one at PSA right now that's like going to be sent back to me probably within the next week. And so if I get a 7, can I already bank on over 150 coming back to me on this? I mean,
you just got to figure out a way to get it on the Fanatics auction.
Get on the Fanatics auction. Or maybe I take it to the card shows and say, hey, this one, the comp from this one is 155, and I'll show them the Fanatics. I'll show them the Fanatics auction, not the eBay auction. You think that'll work?
When I grew up going to card shows, a friend of mine used to take me into Chicago, and it's a very different atmosphere than going to card shows in Minneapolis, where most people are really, really nice to you. I mean, I remember a lot of profanity and people saying, get the you-know-what out of here. And I think that's probably what would get told to you.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I know. But it's an interesting, you never know right now what's going to pop into your inbox from the hobby. And I think that's, especially Fanatics. Fanatics is a game changer, and they're looking to try and do different things. Like we've talked about before, the drops that they do. I haven't seen any more that they've done since the Mosaic football. And so I don't know if that was a success. It took a long time, I will say, from the day that they put that drop out to the day I got my cards delivered. It was a long time. So logistically, I think they have some things to figure out, but they're going to be a disruptor. They're going to be a game changer, but I don't think they're going to disrupt the game enough to, threaten PSA, threaten eBay. I think eBay's biggest threat, I know we're kind of a little bit off topic here, is Facebook Marketplace. I think that's probably the place where, a lot of people are looking to go. Again, seller beware at that point, but you get to keep most of your money. You don't have to worry about all that stuff and, the eBay way. But see just a lot of people selling cards on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist too. So I think those are bigger threats now than Fanatics.
I think there's a lot of pieces of pie out there, and I think it'll all go in a lot of different places. But I guess my last thing, we talked about Fanatics, and we also talked about Topps basketball cards today. And before we went on the air, I was looking at all these pictures, and and especially like the backs of the cards, I miss Topps making football and basketball cards, and I hope that Fanatics will take on these licenses and say, we own all of these brands. We are going to make Topps football cards again. We're going to make Topps basketball cards again because we own all of it. So I guess that is my hope, is that we get to talk about Topps basketball cards again, and Topps football cards and Bowman football. I loved Bowman football. So that's how I'm going to close it. What do you got? Anything else?
Yeah, once we publish this podcast, we'll @Fanatics on Twitter, and we'll just send them that message. Hopefully they hear us. And I think you're absolutely right, though. I would love to see it back. And, speaking of Topps /Bowman football, I ordered a couple of blaster boxes of Bowman football with those college guys that we talked about. So look for an opening, a box opening coming up soon on this show. There is some product on Target.com right now, Bowman baseball, Bowman football. So some of the things we talked about on the show are available, but one thing that's not available on Target.com is 2008, 2009 Topps Chrome basketball, unfortunately. But I had a lot of fun looking at this set, and hopefully you guys did too. Again, I got to put a pitch in for the podcast if you're watching us here on YouTube. And if you're watching us on YouTube, go to any place you can get your podcast. We are the Cardfellas Show. We're trying to put out content more often so you guys can hear what we're thinking more regularly. And again, we do Cardfellas Shorties, where we talk about topics outside of the sets that we get into. So I just got an alert on my phone that I've been charged by Collectors Universe. Uh-oh. So that tells me we are going to have a PSA reveal video coming up, a 29 card order. Man, I'm excited. That's awesome. So we do videos like that on YouTube, and it's kind of hard to do a reveal video on a podcast, though.
Yeah. I don't know. The thing that I think about with podcasts is, the way I listen to them is usually when I'm on a road trip by myself. And the thing that I like about podcasts, it's like you become friends with the people that do the show. And, there's a lot of people that are getting back into this hobby that they're kind of in hiding. They don't want a lot of their social circle to know that they're doing this, or maybe they just don't know people that are back into doing this. So I hope that we're kind of becoming their friends and kind of, creating a relationship with them, and hopefully they can go, yeah, I want to find out what Matt got from PSA. So
yeah, I agree. That's that was well said, Chris. I think a lot of people are, I don't even, maybe they are hesitant to say, hey, I'm back to card collecting. you nerd? What, like right. This? I'm like, they, the first thing, whenever I tell people that, they always ask me, is there good money in that? Yeah. I was kind of like, yeah, kind of. I'm like, I'm not going to tell them the truth, right? I mean, yes, there's good money in there if you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, you can definitely lose a lot of money. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And we're starting to see a lot of the same people comment on our stuff, and we love that. And we're out there on YouTube and other podcasts, listening to what other people have to say. This is a great community, and so we hopefully you guys will enjoy some more of the content that we're going to be putting out here. And I don't think we're going to run out of things to talk about.
It's always changing. So there's always new stuff. And if worst case scenario, I mean, we've had baseball card sets now for over 120 years. So yes, we got plenty of topics.
We definitely do. And I think, you and I have said this before on previous podcasts, things are going to get back to a more affordable way to send cards in to get grading. And I think that brings some more people back into it. And I think that's going to get people more excited. And I think that's going to rejuvenate the raw card market and the and the box market. Like, I think things are going to start happening again. So hopefully you can stick with this for a while and keep your interest and take us along with you for the ride. We'd sure appreciate it.
And for Matt, I'm Chris. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching this week. We'll talk to you next time.